Hello and Merry Grinchmas. Today is our Grinchmas party. It is 12/23 of 25. If you're new here, my name is Christy. I changed my diet to a high protein, moderate fat, low carb diet in April of 2024. It is currently 10 a.m. and I am moving. I'm sorry. I try to control that when I record my videos. So I am getting ready to have my first meal of the day. I'm also making my last meal of the day because I'm going to be making it in the slow cooker. I will be having 3 meals today. My first meal is kind of small. So my first meal is just coffee. So I made it with 1 cup of Fairlife whole milk, a serving of whey isolate protein powder, and a serving of collagen peptides. With it, I am going to have a donut. This is from Conscious Comforts, which is a local bakery in my area that makes gluten-free, sugar-free donuts. For our last meal of the day, so for Grinchmas, we have roast beast and garlic in your soul rolls. That's what we're going to be having for dinner. I'll make the garlic rolls later. It'll be a fathead dough recipe, but I am getting my roast beast into my slow cooker. Something I have learned about using my pressure cooker as my slow cooker, which it has a slow cooker function. The problem is that it's tall and most slow cookers are kind of wide. And what happens when I make like roast or something like that's kind of deep, that's not a soup, I guess, is the food on the bottom gets nice and tender and it's great, but the food on the top doesn't always even get cooked through. And it's kind of like tough, like it's just like dry because it's up here. So I've decided to use 2 slow cookers today. I have my large Instant Pot slow cooker and my small Instant Pot slow cooker. In my large one, I have my roast. This is a chuck roast. I've cut it in half to make sure that it can kind of like all sit on the bottom. For my seasoning, I am using Montreal steak seasoning. This is our favorite seasoning to have on steak. And I added just, I don't know, maybe like a 1/4 cup of broth just to kind of like help the cooking process start. But the meat is going to like create its own liquid. So I just need some to kind of get it going. In here, I have 1 potato per family member, excluding myself. I'm not going to have any potatoes. And it's not that I'm against having potatoes. Like I will have extra carbs. I will have it from, potatoes just fine sometimes. But I do have other things that I'm having today that are going to be a little bit higher carbs. And to be honest, potatoes just don't sound good to me. I actually didn't eat a lot of potatoes before I changed my diet, unless they were fried with lots of butter. So it really doesn't bother me to not have any potatoes. And then I have some carrots in here too. Again, I just seasoned it with some of my Montreal steak seasoning and put this one, I actually put like a 1/2 cup of broth in because there's not going to be, as much liquid shedded from the actual ingredients. So I'll just get these onto my slow cookers, turn them on low and let them cook all day. It is 11:15, and I am getting ready to make our first meal, which is a little early, but we are going to go skating at noon, so we need to have it made and eat. We're also going to watch the original Grinch movie from whatever year it is, 1954, I think. So I'm excited for that. Our breakfast is going to be Who Hash. I have 6 pieces of sausage that I'm going to cook here in my air fryer. So that's going to be 2 per person, except for my husband. He doesn't want any sausage. So I'll get the egg part all together, dish his out, and then I'll add the sausage in afterwards. I am melting a teaspoon of butter here in my saute pan. And then I've got some chopped onion and bell pepper, 1 small onion and a large bell pepper. I'm going to saute these in the butter until they are softened. I have sprinkled in some pepper. I'm going to also add in some salt. You do want to be seasoning every layer according to Alton Brown. So that's what I'm doing. I've got my vegetables softened down. I have got a dozen eggs here that I scrambled up. I'm going to add these to the pan. I'm actually going to turn this heat down a little bit. Get these added in along with some chopped bacon. So it's 8 slices, two per person. That's kind of actually how I mean, I wouldn't like normally do that if I were just kind of cooking, but because I track my food and I really am on this journey where I am trying to lose 10 pounds, like I want to make sure that I am tracking what I'm actually eating. And my sausage is done, so I'm just going to get this out and get it chopped up, and then we'll add it later. The hash is done, so I have served my husband up his, and I'm going to go ahead and add in my chopped sausage to the rest of it. Voila, we've got some who hash. So I will probably, I'm not going to add any cheese to mine, but my family probably will, and it would be delicious. But like I said, I'm kind of on a journey where I'm trying to lose 10 pounds, so I'm going to leave off those extra calories. It is about 4:30, and I am ready to make my garlic in your soul rolls. This recipe is new to me, so I hope that it turns out nicely. I've got 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella and 2 ounces of cream cheese. I'm going to stick these in my microwave and get them melted together. And then I've got my food processor here. I'm going to put in it, I have 1.5 cups of almond flour, and I'm sorry, 1 1/8 cups of almond flour, an eighth of a cup of coconut flour, a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, a quarter teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of baking soda, an eighth of a cup of Greek yogurt. So this is Okios Pro plain yogurt. And then this is not in the original recipe, which I will put in the description below. But I added a whole teaspoon of garlic because I really do want these to have like a strong garlic flavor. I'm going to get this into my food processor. Okay, I've got my cheeses all melted together. And just so you're aware, I am cutting this recipe in half. I'm going to get the cheese into my food processor. And then I'll get the lid on and get these pulsed together until combined. Okay, I just realized I forgot an ingredient. Although I am getting a dough, I need an egg. I've got my egg in here. Gonna puree it some more. And this dough does look more cohesive. Okay, so then I'm just supposed to take it and form it into balls. And I'm gonna put it on my parchment lined baking sheet. And I should be able to make 6 of them. So I'm just going to start with this much. I'm not really actually very good at portioning. So I'm just going to start with this and then I'll like kind of add some more to some if I need to or take it away. I've got my rolls. They're supposed to bake for 13 to 18 minutes at 400 degrees. I bake them for 14 minutes and they look amazing. Here is my Grinchmas plate. I measured out about 6 ounces of my roast. I've got half a serving of my Who pudding, which I'll link to that video in the description below, and my roll. I'm going to try the roll. It does have a nice bread-like consistency when I tear it open. It's got a little bit of gooiness in there, but I'm kind of amazed at like the way that it looks like bread. I think I probably should have let it rest for a little bit longer, but I wanted you to know what it tastes like. That's really good. It definitely has like a bread-like texture to it. I am amazed. There's not as much garlic in it as I thought that there would be, but I mean, it's there. I just wish there was a little bit more garlic flavor, but the roll itself is really good. My numbers actually don't look too bad today. I thought that they might look worse than they do. I ended up with about 1,800 calories. My protein is 171. My net carbs are 31, and my fat is a 98. I'm surprised about my carbs because I did have pineapple that was in the Who pudding that I had. And then I also had, which this does add carbs. I think it adds, I want to say this adds 8 carbs to it, to my day. So I just kind of thought I would be a bit more over on carbs. I had this Okios 000 yogurt. I had it after we went skating, I just felt like I needed some food. And I thought maybe it was electrolytes. Like sometimes when I'm hungry and I feel like I've had enough food, it's like, oh, well, I probably am short on electrolytes. So I did drink electrolytes and waited for a little bit and I still was hungry. So I did have a yogurt also. My deficit is just over 200 calories, although I'll probably burn at least another 100 tonight. So it's really about perfect. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow.